Welcome to the Joyish Kingdom. It's 6 in the morning right now for me. I didn't go to sleep because the Frank Degods Twitter space thing was going for like 2 hours straight. And I stayed up and I listened to the entire thing. So I wanted to be sure that I knew everything. At that point, it was like too late. I wasn't going to go to sleep anyway. And so I listened to the whole thing. I did all my research. I figured out what's going on. I wanted to be the first to cover it because there's a lot of people weighing in on this. I'm hearing a lot of shit opinions, a lot of good opinions, a lot of uneducated opinions that clearly don't know the details. And I just want to give in my opinion, not saying mine's the best, but we are going to talk about it. Frank Degods came out, Degods is the #1 project in Solana, by the way. It's like the biggest blue chip. He came out and said, we're going to do 0% royalties for all projects under like the Dust Labs and the Degods ecosystem, which includes Utes, by the way. And this took the entire Web3 space by storm. They were like, what in the actual fuck just happened? So people are not happy about it. Some people are okay with it. I haven't really seen that many people that are stoked about it because I think most people just don't understand it. And they're kind of like, why? What is the point? What are you going to do to generate income? Right. And so people are really worried about this. And Frank came in with a different angle. So we're going to talk about all the things. But before we do, make sure you click that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of NFT content coming up. If you're already following me on Twitter, if you're on my Discord, down below the description, you are only hurting yourself, fam. As you know, the goal of this channel is to instill the knowledge and confidence it's going to take to navigate this metaverse on your own one day. So if that sounds good to you, let's get into the video. Okay, here we go. Right up. And if you're listening to this on Twitter or Twitch or whatever other streaming services, I'm on YouTube right now. So you can, if you're wanting to check out the screen and kind of see what I'm looking at, that's what it'll be. So here's the post from Degods. Our next experiment, 0% royalties. We're now updating Degods, Tubes, and Utes all to 0% royalties. I still believe that royalties are an incredibly useful case for NFTs. We'll continue to support creators that want to find solutions to enforce royalties. We believe this is the best decision for our business at the time. It's time we take a new approach. Here's some of the people's responses. K-Money's face. I see a lot of people just kind of saying like, we don't get it. How are they going to make money? Not sure about this. Some people are excited. They're like, wow, they're thought leaders. You know, they're doing things like this person says, we're front running the market. They believe that royalties are going to go to zero regardless. They just want to be up front, right? And if this does happen, then everyone's going to be like, oh my God, Frank Degods is a fucking saint. He's the second coming of Jesus Christ kind of thing, which, you know, if that happens, yeah, I mean, that's literally what's going to happen. I think that's what Frank's thesis is. I don't know. Some people are speculating that maybe he has some information that other people don't know about. He did say that it's not true. They actually asked him this on the Twitter space if he has some kind of information that other people don't have. And he said no. I would be willing to bet that he probably has some kind of thesis, though, that he believes in. Whether or not that's like backed, maybe he's got private funding, maybe he's got VC funding. He says he doesn't, but I don't know. This sounds weird to me. It sounds very, very high risk for no reason at a random time, like maybe not a random time, like in retrospect, I guess we'll find out in hindsight whether or not it was a good decision. It just seems a bit random, right? Because there's no like backup here. And then right after that, it's a time for a new NFT meta, radical transparency. We're publishing an honest log of everything we work on every day. We have nothing to hide. See for yourself. And it says Degods proof of work. You know what this is, fam? This is a actual proof of work. You scroll down their page and there's a little like bullet list of every single thing they've done every single day since they've launched. This is fucking wild. I don't even know if this is like accurate. Like did like the way Frank Degods described it in the video or in the Twitter space was like, yeah, we came up with this decision a couple days ago. We kind of just threw it all together in the last few days. At least that's what I heard. If that's true, I don't know how accurate this is. I don't really understand the point either. Like, I guess it's cool to like have all this here and every single day is logged. I guess I'm not really sure I have an opinion on this part exactly. But you know, whatever. Right now, the floor of Degods is sitting around 350 Solana. So it's down. I believe it was up. I'm not exactly sure what Degods was at one point, but I'm sure the floor has come down a little bit just because people are a bit worried. They're not sure what to expect. And usually when there's a big announcement, there's a lot of temporary just like swing trading and people freaking out and doing whatever. So anyways, another thing that's interesting is they said, this is actually retweeted by Frank. He said, just notice this. Someone hyper put this up on Twitter. He said, staking rewards explorer. What is the app that Dust Labs is building? This is probably gonna be one of their SaaS services. And it looks like this. And I'm not sure, like in the Twitter space, the guy asked Frank, who's your target audience? And he said new NFT projects. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, shit, dude. I mean, that's my client base right there. And I'm telling you what, that shit is dry as fuck right now. Inbound requests are at an all-time low. I have never in the last 13 months of running my business been net negative on that online business because there's literally no upfront money from my end. And last month or this month, unless someone comes in the next like week or so, will be my first ever non-positive month, which would be crazy for me, right? And it doesn't look like it's getting any better anytime soon. I guess it could be. And his answer to that was, we don't care. We bet on NFTs. We bet on ourselves to innovate and be that innovation, which was his angle, which is very positive. It's very, confident and all that stuff. But, the market doesn't always care like what you want or what you think. So in the short to midterm, this sounds really fucking dangerous, honestly. But this is what they built their whole brand on. Now, is this going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back? It's very fucking possible. It is very fucking possible. In my opinion, Bored Ape Yacht Club, when they introduced the Yuga Labs other side meta, the land drop, that seemed a bit early and a bit risky. And it's honestly like they're below mint. It's not particularly looked at negatively or positively. It's kind of just like, yeah, they're building for the future. I think this is probably what will happen with this kind of announcement. I think this will just kind of fade and people will be like, yeah, like whatever, I guess, and maybe other projects follow suit. One thing I will say, let me go full screen for this part. By the way, for anyone who's watching this on another platform, I am live on YouTube. You can see my screen and exactly what I'm doing. This is on YouTube right now. What I don't want projects to do is to take what Degods is doing or Bored Ape Yacht is doing and start to apply it to them just because a top project's doing it and you think that it's going to help you somehow. This whole thing about zero royalties doesn't really affect anyone in the market. It only affects like 1% of projects, right? 99% of projects right now are making like $100 a month on royalties, if that. All right. Degods is probably making a good bit, which is why it's shocking to me that they're taken away entirely because they don't have any other source of income unless they have some kind of private funding, which is my thesis. I think there's some kind of private funding here. Otherwise, they're just burning money and they're losing money and they're employing 20 people. It makes no sense to me. But Bored Ape Yacht Club and Degods, regardless, are at the top of the ecosystem. They can do what they want, and they play by a different set of rules. It's like when you watch a whale trading. You don't copy all the trades the whale's making because they have a lot of money. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They don't care. But if you only have $5,000 to play with, you're hurting if you make one decision that's bad, right? So I just want people to be aware of that. They're in their own league here. So they're looking to be innovation drivers and all that stuff, and that's great. So we'll see what happens. That to be that is to take on risks. So in that sense, I'm down with it. Like, that's cool to me. Like, whatever, let's move on. All right. So by the way, for people who are watching, Leap is the Spaces host. I don't know who this dude is. I don't know anything about this person. He just like randomly has been popping off on Spaces. If you guys know, Twitter Spaces is just all in right now. It's people are at an all-time board. And I guess they don't want to go over to YouTube and YouTube land. They want to stay on Twitter. So Spaces is popping off. So this random person, no links. I don't know who they are. They just like lead all these massive spaces. I don't know how he hacked the system, but he did a great job, I think, except for the fact that he was kind of sucking Frank's dick the entire time. But other than that, he did a great job. Really, really good questions. But he definitely sucked a little bit of dick on that. I'm not sure why I pulled this up for a second time. Okay, and then here's the last announcement. This is big because this has nothing to do with anything I just talked about. This is just random. He just says this off the cuff in the middle of the Twitter space. He just says, you know what? We might even charge for the use reveal. And everyone lost their shit. Everyone lost their shit. They were like, excuse me, fucking what? What? You're going to charge us for the reveal after you're making and pushing it back and pushing it back. Here's why this is dangerous, right? In almost all cases, I would have really no problem with this. I mean, I think it's kind of like, I don't really understand it, but I'm like, it's not a big deal. The reason it matters in this circumstance is because while Degods has this narrative of like, we don't give a fuck, we're alpha, we do what we want, they're starting to like really, really tug on a lot of ropes here. And people are starting to get a little bit impatient. And they're like, yo, so you guys have a lot of communication problems. They've talked about these communication problems. And it looks like they're still kind of having them. Like a lot of people aren't quite sure about, Frank's demeanor, how he comes off. Sometimes he comes off like a frat boy who doesn't know what he's doing and he's just making impulsive decisions. I think he's a pretty smart dude. I think he's got his finger on the pulse of the market as a true degenerate, which I think is important and sets him apart from a lot of founders. But he also potentially opens himself up to some other things. But because of the way that he kind of rolls things out and they've had so many fucking delays on literally everything, to do something like this on top of all that really just sucks for the people doing it. And a big controversial thing on this whole thing is, what is the point of holding the Ute and what is the point of holding the Degods? If the right, like if you hold it, you can't cash out on the reward, which is holding a really expensive asset. So they're like, what is the reason to hold? Why not just take the money and flip it and go? And his real answer is like, well, go ahead and do that if that's how you feel. Like if you want to be a Degod, be a Degod, which I can get on board with that. Like, right, that's why you buy a PFP project, in my opinion, just to be part of the club. But once you start to jump into utility territory, like Board of Yacht Club did, and they introduced their land, and Degods is introducing Dust Labs and trying to really push this token and all this stuff, it's like, okay, now you're diving into like business world and markets and not exactly degen stuff and brand. It's a little bit more utility focused. It's like, what am I going to get? What's the transactional value of this? And that's where it gets into rough waters, and you can't play around that much with it. Who knows? I think paying for a use reveal is pretty stupid. I think it's going to piss a lot of people off, and I don't think it'll really matter that much. I think it's going to be a pretty insignificant deal in the long term, but in the short to midterm, boy, oh boy, we're going to see a lot of FUD all over Twitter. But that's really all you guys need to know about the Degods Frank drama shit. All right. This was a 5-hour, 7-hour probably rabbit hole you could have gone, all wrapped up in about 10 minutes. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel for more NFT content. If you're watching this on Spaces or wherever else, follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord down below in the description. If you want to see more of me right now, click on one of these boxes on the other side of me. Until next time, continue on your voyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're live watching this video. Also, shout out Anthony and Joey. I see you guys in the chat. Peace, guys. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me hit that graphic. Let me hit you with that. Oh, here we go.